So I saw this video. It popped up on my
By 2023, Maverick City.
It popped up on my timeline, and I don't know. It had like 20,000 views or something like that. And then I looked at it yesterday, and it had like 500,000 views. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? So let's check it out. Chandler Moore, the rise, the betrayal, and the aftermath. I don't know what we're getting into. Let's watch. Let's find out.
City music. By 2023, Maverick City music had become something that nobody in the Christian music industry had ever seen before.
Maverick City Music.
They are the 5-time Grammy Award-winning gospel music collective, topping the charts and selling out arenas all across the country.
Maverick City Music.
And right at the center of all of it was one voice that kept showing up on every Billboard charted song, every sold-out stage, and every big moment Maverick City had.
Please welcome Maverick City Music members Chandler Moore.
From the outside, it looked like a man was living his calling to his fullest extent. But behind the curtains, Chandler was dealing with something personal that was slowly tearing him apart. And in late 2025, it all came crumbling down when Chandler filed an $800,000 fraud lawsuit against the CEO of Maverick City Music. This is the story of how Chandler Moore became one of the biggest voices in contemporary worship music and how it almost cost him everything he had.
Wow, that was like a Netflix type of intro.
David Moore was born on March 21st, 1995 in Charleston, South Carolina. And from an early age, church wasn't something his family went to just on Sundays, but was the center of his whole family. Chandler's father, Bishop Brian David Moore, was the founder and senior priest of the Life Center Churches, a ministry that Bishop Moore planted in Charleston in 1989 after relocating from New York. And Chandler's mother, Elder Jamenta Moore, wasn't just a pastor's wife, but was just as deep in ministry as her husband. But growing up in church doesn't always mean growing up with faith. And for Chandler, that was exactly the case. You see, the real shift happened when Chandler was a teenager, sitting alone at a piano in a small church in Charleston on what started out as just another ordinary day. Chandler wasn't performing for anyone or leading worship when out of nowhere, something in that room hit him so hard that he sat there crying for hours. Not out of sadness, but out of something he had never felt before.
Like, people see Maverick, it's like, oh man, this thing popped up 2020. No, this thing popped off in 2008 when I was in this small 7 people coming to church.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there on the piano having an encounter with God, and I do the same things today. It's the same well.
By the time Chandler graduated from Bishop England High School in 2013, Chandler already knew music was the career he wanted to pursue. But what he didn't know was how long it would actually take to get his career off the ground. After high school, Chandler spent several years as a background vocalist for Travis Green and Ty Tribbett, and also spent time writing songs for other artists as well. And for someone who would eventually have his name on Grammy plaques, those years were pretty much invisible to the rest of the world. In 2014, Chandler started putting out his own music, releasing a single called Never Runs Out, and then later, another single called Our Hope, later that same year. But nothing was clicking, nobody was sharing it, nobody was talking about it, and most importantly, the industry wasn't paying attention.
I applied to Berkeley, did the whole audition, went to Atlanta. Me and my mom drove up there, and I practiced the music, wrote my own song for it, and got denied. And at the time, and honestly for a couple of years, it shattered me. I mean, now I've toured in Boston 3 times, did the arena there, and it's like that path that I thought was what I wanted and what I needed at the time was not God's purpose and destiny for me.
By 2018, Chandler dropped a single called What a Friend that got a little traction in streaming, but even then, Chandler was still just another worship artist that most people had never heard of. He was showing up and putting in the work, but getting very little back for it. However, that all changed in 2019 when Maverick City Music entered the picture. Maverick City Music was a musical group founded in 2018 by Tony Brown and Jonathan J, who had a different vision for how Christian music could be made. The idea was to gather large groups of artists and songwriters together for what they called songwriting camps. Multi-day sessions where everybody would just create music together. No solo album, no one person getting all the credit, just a rotating collective of voices building something bigger than any one of them could build alone. And the music that came out of those camps didn't sound like anything Christian radio was playing at the time, which turned out to be exactly why people connected with it so deeply. And Chandler Moore would join the group in 2019. And for someone who had spent the last 5 years releasing music that nobody was listening to and watching his career...
Bro, this feel like a true crime documentary. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a true crime documentary. I remember Maverick City. Maverick City used to own my entire playlist. Like, it used to be just Maverick City, Maverick City, Maverick City. I remember those days. And then I remember specifically when I was really trying to, so I remember the first video that like really took off on my channel. It was around the whole like Dante Bowe situation. That was the first one that like really took off on my channel. I remember that specifically. And I was like, interesting. You know what I mean? I remember I went to Pennsylvania one time. I've told this story before, but I remember I went to Pennsylvania one time when I was working as an insurance agent. So I was selling insurance. And for those of you who don't know how insurance works, it's kind of like a pyramid scheme, but like they'll never really admit that. But that's kind of what it is. So essentially with insurance, you have somebody on top of you, and then they have somebody on top of them, and so forth, and so on and so on. So if I sell something, the person who is like my manager gets a percentage of whatever I sell, right? But also the manager is paying a percentage to their manager, and on and on and on and on and on. So anyway, my manager at the time, actually really awesome dude, like great dude. He was a great dude. He still is to this day. Right. But, I was struggling, and I just couldn't get any sales. I was selling life insurance. I was selling like, not annuities, but, what is it called? What is that life insurance? It's like I forget. This is how far I've been out the game. But I was selling this type of life insurance where a portion of your payment went into an investment account, and that investment account would grow over time, right? So you could use that money as like retirement, or you could use it for whatever you wanted to do. But I also sold like final expense insurance to like, senior citizens and like stuff like this. So anyway, I was an insurance agent. I was struggling. I sucked. I hit up my manager. I'm like, yo, I can't make any sales. Like, and my family's hungry and they need to eat. I need to make something happen like right now, today. What do I do? He said, you know what? Maybe you should try to travel and go out of state and try to tap into these untouched markets. And I was like, okay, cool. What am I supposed to do? Where should I go? And he suggested that I go to Pennsylvania. So long story short, I didn't have any money. I talked to my girlfriend, who, my wife now, but she was my girlfriend at the time. And I told her, I was like, yo, my manager is saying that I should go to Pennsylvania to try to make some sales. I think I could go to Pennsylvania and I think I can make some money, right? But here's the problem. I don't have any money. I'm broke. I'm busted and disgusted. I ain't got nothing. She didn't even hesitate. She was like, whatever you need, let me know. I got you. So she ended up going into her savings account and she gave me like a couple $1,000, right? She gave me a couple $1,000 from her savings account. I told her, hey, no matter what happens, I'm going to make this money back. No matter what happens, I'm going to make this money back. This $2,000, I'm going to make it back. And I think that I could come back home with like $10K and then we'll be up like $8,000. So I pack my bags, I buy the ticket, I get on the plane, I go to Pennsylvania. I land in Pennsylvania. I get a hotel room. I get a rental car. I get like the cheapest little rental car that you can think of. I'm in like a little, now granted, I'm like 6'3", 6'4". I'm in a tiny little like, Mazda, a tiny little Mazda. My knees are on my chest. I'm driving like this. You know what I'm saying? In a fishbowl. So everybody looking at me in this tiny little car in a fishbowl, I'm driving like this. I have no idea where I'm going. I'm from California. I ain't never been to Pennsylvania. I touched down in Pennsylvania. I immediately got depressed. I said, wow, y'all living like this? I said, y'all living like this in Pennsylvania? I immediately got depressed. I started praying. I said, God help me, please. I don't know what I'm doing, right? Mind you, in the insurance industry, there's this thing called leads. So essentially, here's what happens. If you go on the internet, if you type in life insurance, they're probably going to ask you for your information, your name, your phone number, your age, your health history, all that type of stuff. So you type all that stuff in and then they give you a quote, right? They give you a quote. But they take your information and they sell it to insurance agents. So I'm buying leads. I bought like 40 leads in Pennsylvania, in the city that I was in. I bought like 40 leads, right? I don't even remember how much they were. I think they were like $20 per lead. So you can do the math, right? And so the night before, so the night that I got into Pennsylvania, I went to the hotel room. It's like, I don't know what time it is. It's like maybe 5 o'clock at night. I'm in my hotel room. I'm calling all the leads. I'm dialing all the numbers. Hey, my name's Nick. I'm in the area. I'm servicing your area. I'll be in your neighborhood tomorrow. Your information, this is what I would say. Your information came across my desk. I bought it, but I just said that. Your information came across my desk. I'm just wondering, what's the best time for me to stop by your house? I got 10, I got 11, I got 2. Like, what's the best time for me to stop by your house? I said all of that before they even could get a word out. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people hung up the phone, but there were some people who said, you know what? This is something that I've been thinking about. This is something that I need to get done. Yeah, let's go ahead and book an appointment. So I think I booked maybe like 8 or 9 appointments, right? And per appointment, I could probably make anywhere from like $500 to maybe sometimes $2,000 per appointment. So I booked 9 appointments. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. All I got to do is sell just honestly, if I sell 2 appointments, 2 out of 9 appointments, then I'll make my money back. If I sell 3 out of 9 appointments, then I made some profit, right? So that's all I'm thinking. I pray on it. I go to bed. I wake up the next morning. I put my little clothes on. I get in my little clown car, my little fishbowl clown car. I'm whipping around Pennsylvania. I have no idea where I'm going. It is raining like crazy in Pennsylvania. It is raining like it's cold, it's rainy, it's gloomy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, I'm from California. This is messing with my mental, but I'm trying to stay locked in. And the whole time that I'm trying to stay locked in, you know what I was listening to the entire time? One song by Maverick City. wait on the Lord. That's the one wait on the Lord. He will renew your strength. Just wait, I say, wait on the Lord. I had that on repeat. During that time, I promise, I felt like that song was like getting me. I'm like, I'm waiting on you, God. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm waiting on you. I'm going house to house to house to house. The first house I get to, I knock on the door. You would have thought I was like, you would have thought I was a home invader. You would have thought I had two AK-47s like this when I opened, because the way he opened up the door and looked at me and slammed it in my face, and you know, like the way he did that to me, I really sat back and I had to reflect on my life. I was like, whoa. I was hurt. Like, I was hurt. And I'm knocking on the little screen door, knocking. Nothing. Okay, that's my first appointment. I go to my next appointment. At this time, I'm already running late to my second appointment because it's raining. I don't know where I'm going. I'm already running late. So I'm driving to my next appointment. I'm bumping the same song. Wait on the Lord. He will renew your strength. Just wait, I say. Wait on the Lord. Wait on the Lord. I'm going to my next appointment, right? I knock on the door. As soon as I knock on the door, this dude cusses me out. Actually, no, I didn't even get to the door. I pulled up to his street. I parked on the street. His house was like kind of on a hill. So you have to like walk up the hill to get to his house. I pull up on the street. I'm looking up the stairs from down below. He opens up the door, starts cussing me out. I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm like, who? Because I'm trying to figure out, like, who is he actually? Is he not? He can't be talking to me because I literally just got here. So anyway, I walk up the steps. I don't know where I got this confidence from. It had to be from God because he looked like he was about to like kill me. I'm walking up the steps. Had this ever happened to you? I extended my hand. I said, hey, I'm Nick. Nice to meet you. Bro, he literally looked at my hand like I had a bag of dog poop in it. I'm like, I take my hand back. I put it in my pocket. I was like, I'm here for our appointment. I'm Nick. We spoke on the phone yesterday. He said, I know who you are. This is a white dude. He's like, I know who you are. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm here for our appointment. He's like, you're 30 minutes late. I'm like, oh man, like, I'm sorry. I understand it. It's raining. I just got back from my other appointment. I'm not from here. I'm out of town. I apologize. He was upset. He was upset. Long story short, he walks me around the back of his house. In the back of his house, he has like some like patio furniture, right? He sits me down and we start talking, right? And we're talking about insurance. We're talking about stuff for probably talking for like an hour. And the longer the appointment goes on, the more certain I am that this is going to be a sale, right? Because we're talking, I'm like, okay, cool. This is for sure going to be a sale. I'm leaving here with something. You know what he says? I finally get to the close and I'm like, hey, all we got to do, submit the application. I can't even give you a decision today because, you know, the underwriters have to take a look at it. So let's just submit the application. We'll probably get a decision maybe in a couple days, and then I'll call you back, and then, you know, I think we'll be straight. But based on what you told me, I think everything is good, and you need life insurance. And he was like, yeah, I do need life insurance. I was like, cool. So let's submit the application, and then we'll go from there. You know what he said to me? He looked me in my face after an hour of having a conversation. He said, I got to talk to my wife about it. I said, where your wife at? He said, out of town. I said, okay, cool. You want to use my phone or you want to use your phone? Like, Go ahead, talk to her about it. And he's like, no, like this is one of those type of things where it's gonna take at least like a week or so before we can actually like get to like an actual decision. Like, you know, stop, like, and then he hit me with this. Then he said this. Then he said, well, you know, stop trying to pressure me. I'm like, wait, you brought me around the back of your house and sat me down in your patio furniture. You made this appointment. I ain't pressuring you. I told you I'm out of town. I'm leaving tomorrow. I don't have a week. Anyway, I leave. I have 7 more appointments. The 3rd appointment, no. 4th appointment, no. 5th appointment, no. 6th appointment. The 6th appointment, I'm pulling up to this dude's house. It's like in the projects. Mind you remember what I kept telling y'all? I'm from the suburbs. I don't really know nothing about no projects. I'm pulling up to the projects. You know what I'm saying? Like they got bars on their window. The bars have bars. There's 2 sets of bars on their window. I park my car. I'm looking around. There's like stray dogs and like I've seen a lot of stuff. I get on the phone and I call him because I'm like, I'm not finna get out the car unless I know he's home. So I call him. I'm like, hey, William, this is Nick. I just want to confirm your house is the apartment building. It's kind of like run down, kind of got some holes in it, kind of like, you know, it's like it's kind of like in the projects, right? I'm not sure. I don't know if my GPS took me to the wrong place. So I don't know. And he's like, oh yeah, that's my house. Like, you know, blah blah blah. You know, come up, take the elevator and come up. I'm kind of like, all right, cool. I'm kind of stressing. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of judging it before I even get in the door. I'm kind of judging. I'm like, I don't know if he gonna have enough money to even like to buy insurance. Cause some people just fill out a form, but they never actually like they don't have any intention of buying insurance. So I'm like, man, I'm probably just wasting my time walking into this room, right? Anyway, I walk up to the place. We start having a conversation. And it's going really well. It's going great. It's going perfectly. We get to the point to do the application. And as we're going through the application, he's like, you know what? I really need this. I really want this. Let's get this done today. This is appointment 6, right? I need to make 2 sales to break even. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. I can make this sale. I can make the next one. I can break even. I can make the next one. I can make a little bit of money. So he says, yeah, let's do it. I'm filling out the application. He's pulling out his checkbook. He writes me a check. Before I even finish the application, he writes me a check. He slides it to me. I'm like, whoa. Like, because this was not what I was expecting before I walked in. I'm like, bro, this is not what I'm expecting. So he writes me a check. I hit submit on the application. Guess what happens? Immediately decline. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I tell this dude, I literally gave him his check back. I told him, I was like, hey, it's declined. Because he had some health issues and stuff like that. Insurance companies didn't want to touch him. Insurance companies didn't want anything to do with him. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's declined. I get in my car. At this point, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm in my little fishbowl car, my little clown car. I'm crying in the projects. I'm in the projects crying. I'm crying. Cause I'm not even sad. I'm just so stressed out. And I'm also like, God, I'm like, God, how could you allow me to go all the way across the country just to lose money? I could have lost money at home. I could have lost money and slept in my bed. You know what I'm saying? I could have lost money and slept in my bed tonight. But you took me all the way across the country to humiliate me so that I could lose money. On top of that, I just borrowed thousands of dollars from my girlfriend. So now the pressure is really on. I'm going to my 8th appointment or 7th. I have 2 more appointments left. I have to sell these next 2 appointments. I have to. Otherwise, I just lost all the money that I just borrowed from my girlfriend, who is now my wife. I just lost all that money, and I promised her that I was going to pay it back. So I have to sell these 2 appointments. Guess what happens? I pull up to my next appointment. I park my car. I knock on the door. Now, this individual, he was probably the coolest person that I had spoken to on the phone. When I was booking the appointments, he was the coolest individual. I knock on the door. I'm actually early. I'm like 10 minutes early. So I'm not late. So you can't say that was the issue. I knock on the door. He opens the door. You would have thought I was the feds. You would have thought I was the federal government with a search warrant. He slammed the door before I could even blink or think. Just, I'm standing there like, I'm standing at the door like, surely this had to have been a mistake, right? Maybe I knocked at the wrong house. I'm calling him. I called this dude like 5 times. I called him like 5 times. The phone's ringing like 5 times. I left him a message. I said, hey, this is Nick. I don't know if we maybe just had like a misunderstanding, but like I'm standing outside your house right now. You know, we had that appointment for insurance. I called him, so he didn't answer any of my phone calls. I get back in my car. I called him so many times. At this point, I'm on track to be 30 minutes late for my next appointment. And this is my last appointment. So my next appointment is my last appointment. I called him so many times. I'm standing in front of his house trying to get in. I'm on track to be late for my next appointment. I'm driving to my next appointment. I put it in the GPS. I think I was supposed to be there. I don't know. Let's say I was supposed to be there at 4:30. I put the address in my GPS. It said I wasn't going to be there until 6 o'clock. I said, you know what? I'm not even going to call them and say like, hey, I'm going to be an hour and a half late. I'm not even going to call them because I know what's going to happen because I've been here before. If I call them and if I say I'm going to be an hour and a half late, they're going to say, okay, let's just reschedule for tomorrow, right? But here's the problem. My flight leaves tomorrow. There is no rescheduling. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to risk it. I'm going to drive across town. I'm not going to call. I'm just going to show up late and I'm just going to hope that they give me grace. And that's what I did. I got in my car. I turned on Maverick City, same song, Wait on the Lord. At this point, I'm singing the song and tears are running down my face. because I'm just so embarrassed. I'm so upset. At this point, I am sad. I am. And I'm depressed because I'm in Pennsylvania in the rain, losing all my money that wasn't even mine in the first place, right? So I'm going to my last appointment. I pull up to this like apartment complex, but it's like a really nice apartment complex. It's like one of those like elderly, like 55 like plus apartment complexes. Like it was really nice. So I'm feeling good. I'm like, okay, last appointment, like worst case scenario, maybe I could like make a sale, and instead of losing $2,000, maybe I could like lose like $500. So anyway, I walk up, I knock on the door. This old lady opens up the door. I start putting the charm on instantly because I'm an hour and a half late. So she opened the door. I start, oh, hey, Barbara, Nick, nice to meet you. Wow, oh my, your hair. I love what you did with your hair, your outfit. Oh my gosh. I'm like walking in her house. Before she even invites me in, I'm like walking. I'm like, oh my God, your dog? Is this Lucky? Oh, I'm doing all that. I'm laying it on thick because I know I need to make some bread, right? So I walk in, I sit down. This old gentleman walks out from the back room because he's like, who's here? Who's that? Right? So it ended up being her husband. So long story short, they didn't like, I was finessing it. They were cool. They didn't even realize that I was late. That's how good I was. They didn't even realize I was late. I'm sitting down with both of them. Now, I had an appointment just to see one of them, right? But I'm sitting down and I'm like, hey, so Barbara, is this appointment just for you? Or like, does your husband, is he also looking into some options? Like, and she said, oh yeah, we're both looking into insurance options. Like we both want insurance. And I'm like, bro, a 2-for-1. Like, this is it. Like, this is gonna like for sure, I'm gonna break even. For sure, I'm gonna break even. Right? For sure. Worst case scenario, I break even. Best case scenario, I make a little bit of money. Perfect. I'm like, thank you, God. Like, now I know why I was struggling so much. Now I know why you brought me here to teach me this lesson. Now I know. Thank you so much, God. I'm saying that in my head, right? So we go through the process. And I'm feeling kind of bold, right? I'm feeling kind of bold. Cuz typically I would give them two options, right? I would give them like, one option that is like kind of like, affordable, and then I would give like another option that is like, it's a lot of money, but like it's a lot of value and it's a lot of coverage, right? So I'm feeling bold. So I get to the point where I'm going to show them pricing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to show them like the middle option, cuz I do like a low, middle and high option. But then I was like, listen, I'm just going to show them the high option, because I think based on our conversation that they'll see the value in the high option, and they told me how much money they make. So I think they can afford this. I'm just going to show them the high option. Like, this is the option. So we get to the point and I show them the option, and I'm already doing the math in my head. I'm like, okay, if I make this sale, I'll make like $4,000. So I'll be up $2,000. So I showed them the option. I forget how much it was. They look at it. The husband looked at it. He did one of these. He said, looking at his wife, he said, hold on, Nick. I'm gonna go talk to my wife in the bedroom real quick. You want some water or something? I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking like, well, this can't be bad because they didn't say no, right? And he's offering me water. So I'm just playing it cool. So I'm like, yeah, whatever you need to do, take your time. Take your time, right? So they go in the back room. I'm sipping my water. Probably like 10, 15 minutes go by. They come out of the back room. He sits down. He says, you know, the reason I walked away was because I was so upset and I was so offended at how expensive the price was that you showed me. And so I had to take a second to go and allow my wife to calm me down. I looked at him just like this. I looked at him just like this. I'm flipping through my notes. I'm like, okay, well, there's cheaper options. Like, we could do this price. We could do this price. We could do this price. Like, that's not the only. There's cheaper. He's like, no. I don't want to hear it. You should have told me all the options in the first place. And I was like, at this point, I'm looking at the water. Like, did they put poison in this? So I set the water down because I'm like, hold on. And so at this point, I was like, okay, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I walk out. I go sit in my car. And this is probably this is probably the second most angry that I've ever been at God. This is probably the second most angry that I've ever been at God. I'm like cussing God out. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm cussing God out. I'm hurt. I'm upset. I leave. I wake up in the morning. I get on my plane and I go home. By this point, you know, my wife, my now wife, she already kind of knows like what happened and everything like that. So she already knew. As soon as I got home, I was just like depressed. I was like, wow, I don't know what that was about, God. I have no idea what that was about, God. Anyway. You said there is the plot twist. Anyway, that's what happened. That's what happened. Let's continue the video.
Career go absolutely nowhere. Walking through that door was everything to him, because Maverick City wasn't just
at this point. I forgot what the video was about. I've been talking for so long.
Another opportunity for him. It was the first environment Chandler had ever been in where the music he naturally...
Wait, what are you saying? That is not right. You carry on that story immediately. No. You got to brighten this up. Okay, honestly, I'll be real. I'll be so for real with you. That's literally what happened. I came home. I lost all the money that my now wife gave me. I'm in more debt because I was buying leads on a credit card. I'm in more debt. I lost everything. I guess the bright side to this story is, even though I was so upset with God, like I said, in my memory, that was probably the second most angry I've ever been at God, cussing God out. I guess the bright side of that story is, even though all of that happened, I still said, you know what, God? I'm still going to choose to trust you. I'm still going to choose to put my faith in you. I'm still going to choose to follow you. Even though I feel like you led me in a direction of devastation and of pain, I know there's something to be learned within this story. I know there's something to be learned within this circumstance. And I'm still going to choose to follow you. I'm still going to choose to trust you regardless. So I guess the bright side of the story is, look how it turned out. Because it could have went either way. I could have taken that moment and I could have said, you know what? God, you're not real. I don't trust you. Look what you did to me. You embarrassed me. I think I would have been justified to be like, you know what, God, I'm good. I'm not doing this no more. But some way, somehow, he kept me. And I stayed fixated and I stayed focused on him. So that's the bright side. So y'all want the bright side? That's the bright side. It was the Holy Spirit. Let's continue.
Made was exactly what the room was asking for. And the moment Chandler had that kind of freedom, his voice started showing up everywhere.
I almost get emotional thinking about it. Mav City has become such a foundational, familial point of like the people I've met through Mav City, the relationships, the conversations that have been birthed out of Mav City has literally changed and supported what
you said. I agree with the dude. You should have offered the cheaper options. You know what? Sometimes you do stuff that is a little bit irrational when your back is against the wall. And also, you have to kind of understand the insurance game. Like, the insurance industry is, like, sales in general, you're just trying stuff. You're just throwing stuff at the wall, and you're trying to figure out what sticks. It's a process. It's a back and forth. It's a dance. And I felt like at that point in our conversation, based on the rapport that I had, and based on the information that I had about their income and their circumstance and their goals, I felt like not only was this a good option for them, but they could afford it. And I felt like it was going to be fine. So when I presented it, there was no way that I thought that that's how that was going to turn out. Now the gardener's here. Can you guys hear that? It was a growth experience. It was a growth experience. You're right. You're right. Can you guys hear the gardener? Okay, let's watch the video. Let's get to it.
God has done in me. We have people like Dante, Brandon, Naomi, MJ, Majesty. We have all these people who don't come to do music, but who come to just do relationship. That's the difference, bro.
So good.
That's the difference in Mav City. Like, we didn't start this as an industry. Hey, we trying to get in here, change the worship. Nah, the idea started from, we've brought people together from relationship, and out of that relationship, a family, something that God is using to change culture, to bring whatever God has been doing. That's how it started. So I think that's the purity and the authenticity that people feel when you listen to it. It's like, man, we feel like these people aren't just like singing. Like, this is a relationship that's almost thicker than blood. Like, there's something deeper in it. So, I can go on. Mav City is my heart, man. Yeah, it's my heart.
But then in November 2023, everything came crashing down. Right in the middle of what could have been the greatest season of his entire career, Chandler Moore quietly checked himself into a rehabilitation program, spending 40 days there without saying a single word to the public. While he was gone, his music was still playing in churches every Sunday morning, while the world had no idea that the man behind all of it was sitting somewhere privately, fighting through the hardest battle of his life.
Wow.
There is a special piece to my story that I had only told Hannah, hadn't told none of my family, and I didn't even know for sure if it happened. I just feel like this thing happened and around sexual abuse when I was younger, and later that year, around August, September, my whole life just kind of started falling apart as I remembered and started having flashbacks and stuff, and I spiraled just uncontrollably. In November that year, I went to an inpatient rehab for 40 days. So I think that first experience showed me and opened up a piece of my heart. It was like, okay, there is a place that's safe. There's a place that you can tell your story. You can tell about the things that may even feel scary. I mean, there's still parts of my story, even 2.5 years after rehab and addressing stuff and living in recovery, that are still just a little daunting. And as the more I work through. So I think that first takeaway was safety, which is everything to me.
But just as it seemed like the hardest chapter was finally behind him, something happened at the end of 2025 that shocked the entire worship industry. On October 1st, 2025, Chandler Moore filed a 33-page federal lawsuit in U.S. District Court in Atlanta against Maverick City CEO Norman Jamfee and affiliated companies. According to the lawsuit, Jamfee allegedly forged Chandler's signature on 4 separate contracts, secretly transferred his ownership and copyright interests to Maverick City Music without his knowledge, and diverted approximately $800,000 in royalties away.
You said, I think, oh, you hear the gardener now? You said, I think I may go to sleep. Nick should do more stories on his channel, especially for us who can't sleep at night. I feel like y'all be like tempting me into a diss track. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all be tempting me. Like you really want me to make a diss track on you. Like you really like, I see the strategies. I see it. Y'all be really tempting me. I'm close. I'm gonna let it slide.
From Chandler. The lawsuit also alleges that Jamfee brokered a deal with Sony and the Orchard to hand over Chandler's master recordings without ever telling him that was happening. Now, it's important to note that these are all just allegations. This is still an active lawsuit and no court has ruled in anyone's favor. However, that being said, it didn't take long before co-founder and CEO of Maverick City Music, Jonathan J., would come out with a statement of his own. In a public statement, Jonathan J. said that the allegations against him and against co-founder Norman Jamfee and against their companies were all categorically false. He said that they weren't misunderstandings and called Chandler's accusations as an attempt to get him out of an agreement Chandler had made freely and later breached. 5 days after filing the lawsuit on October 6, 2025, Chandler Moore announced his departure from Maverick City on an Instagram post. He called it bittersweet and wrote that when they started Maverick, he was grateful to have a community and belonging while fulfilling his dream of making music that would help people experience God, and that they did it in ways he couldn't have imagined, and finished off by saying that leaving almost felt like saying goodbye to your own kid. The legal lawsuit is still active and ongoing, but whatever the courts decide, the chapter as Chandler had known it is already over. When you look at the full story of Chandler Moore's life, what's impossible to ignore was how present God was. When Chandler was a teenager, sitting alone at a piano, questioning his faith, God met him there. When he spent years releasing music nobody was listening to, God was preparing him for something bigger that he just couldn't see yet. When Chandler was sitting in a rehabilitation facility for 40 days, carrying more shame than he knew what to do with, he wrote that God walked into that pit with him and refused to leave until he could breathe again. And when the organization he gave everything to allegedly betrayed him in the most painful way possible, God still had a plan that nobody in that courtroom could ever touch.
Wow.
Chandler Moore has been through more obstacles than most people will ever face, and he's still here making music and standing as living proof that God does not waste a single thing he puts you through. If you enjoyed learning about Chandler Moore's...
Hey, bro. Hey, that's a good period to the story. God does not waste anything that he puts you through. That's how I should have ended my story. Shout out to Jesus Rebrand on YouTube for the video. Shout out to Jesus Rebrand. That was a good video. All right, y'all. Fresh off stream. Literally, I just hit in stream. I just got off a stream. You missed it. What the heck? How did you miss it again? Like, I don't understand. I told you the last video, hey, we're going to be streaming. Make sure you go to Twitch. Make sure you follow. Make sure you turn on notifications so you know when I go live. Like, and you keep missing it. Now you're on the outside of the inside jokes. So now you're not even, I'm going to be telling jokes and you're not even going to be getting it now. Like, listen, it's okay. We can fix this. We can fix this. All you got to do, go to Twitch, follow on Twitch, turn on post notifications. Or if you don't want to do that, if that's too much, and I understand you got to go to a whole nother app and like, you know what I'm saying? I get it. If that's too much for you, no worries at all. I appreciate you just simply watching until the end of this video. And I'm thankful for your support. Even if you don't want to support on Twitch, it's okay. I won't take it personal. Well, not on camera. In private, I'll take it personal. But that's between me and the Lord, right? Anyway, go to Twitch, follow on Twitch, turn on notifications so you know the next time I go live. I'm out, y'all.